Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this awesome webinar tonight. So I'm Dr. Brittany Christian, and I am a chiropractor at Impact Chiropractic in Conway, South Carolina, with Dr. David Turner, and we both serve the pediatric and prenatal community here in Myrtle Beach in Conway, South Carolina. And today I have this very special guest with me. This is Dr. Larissa Farnham, and she is a lactation consultant. So, as I mentioned previously, Dr. Turner and I love serving the birth world, the prenatal world, the pediatric world, and we've made it our mission to kind of build up that community of birth workers around here. So, we've met with midwives before, we've met with doulas, we've met with some postpartum doulas, and now we're meeting with you as our lactation consultant. So, we get questions all the time surrounding breastfeeding. So we would love to answer some of the questions that moms have, some of the things that we get so often in this office, and we figured what better way than to bring in an expert, someone that does this all the time, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to answer a lot of questions for you guys today. I want to give Dr. Larissa a chance to introduce herself. So let's jump right in. And our presentation today is from bump to breast. So a lot of this is going to be going about how to transition from when the baby's in your belly to actually doing all the things that you didn't think about, like breastfeeding. So let's go ahead and get started. So,
well, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Brittany. As she mentioned, my name is Larissa. I am a registered dietitian, but also an IBCLC, which is an internationally board certified lactation consultant. I'm also a doctor of health sciences, and I'm the owner of Lulla Baby Lactation Consultant. So I'm so excited to be here. This community, interaction with the community health providers is so important. I'm so glad to be a part of this team.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to jump right in today. I just want to go over a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, just give everyone a few topics so they can know what to look forward to. So, number one, our goal here today is really to empower women and encourage women to know that they can take on this journey of breastfeeding. Right?
Definitely.
We hear about it all the time and how it can be a struggle sometimes, and then we also hear how it can be this wonderful, glorious event that takes place for however long you choose. So we're going to really dive into how we can encourage you and empower you and even give you the support that you need to take on that journey. So the first thing we're going to talk about is why breastfeed. Right?
Absolutely. And all the benefits.
Exactly. Benefits. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is some of the difficulties. Because nobody talks about the difficulties. And that's when some of the things get lost, right? And then also in that section, she's going to give you guys some awesome tips about positioning for baby. So if nothing else, that's one reason to stay on and really get a really good takeaway from this. And lastly, we'll talk about some support stuff and who to reach out to, when to reach out, how to reach out, and those things.
Exactly.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the benefits. A lot of times we hear that breast is best. We hear that a lot. And then there's the other saying that sometimes you may hear fed is best as well.
I've heard both.
Yeah. Fed is expected and necessary. Nobody would expect you not to feed your child. So for some people, there's a million reasons why they choose not to breastfeed. It may be that they can't physiologically or whatever it may be. That's totally fine. But breast milk is, nutritionally speaking and health speaking, the best. Nothing can be compared to that. Nothing can be formulated in a lab to produce formula that is the exact same as breast milk. It's got lots of different properties in it that can only be found in human breast milk.
Exactly.
So breast is best.
I agree.
So let's start with some benefits for mom.
Okay.
Breastfeeding and lactation is one of the parts of the life cycle that require the most nutrition and calories than any other time. More than even when you're pregnant. You need more calories to sustain milk supply and to breastfeed. It's a lot of work. It burns a lot of calories.
I'm sure.
So because of that, moms a lot of times notice that they are able to get back to their pre-pregnancy weight a lot faster when they're breastfeeding because they're burning all these extra calories by doing it.
Wow, I've heard that often, and I've even seen it in friends of mine, but I never realized that that's the reason why, that they're actually burning more calories.
Yep. So they physiologically need more. And so a lot of times you'll see breastfeeding moms eating all the time.
And it's okay.
And it's okay. I remember waking up in the middle of the night with my first son and my stomach audibly growling, like so loud, not just like, I'm hungry, I could eat something, like painfully, I am starving right now.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night. So you definitely need more calories to breastfeed, which is a good thing because, you know, as long as you're eating well and nice balanced meals, you'll be able to sustain that breastfeeding, but also lose weight at the same time.
Awesome. Awesome benefit.
Yes, absolutely. The other thing is that leads to returning to that pre-pregnancy weight and size a little bit faster is that breastfeeding releases oxytocin, which is a hormone that causes contractions. So this helps the uterus contract back to its pre-pregnancy size or close to it a lot faster than moms that are formula feeding. And some moms even notice, especially with subsequent pregnancies, they call them after pains. So when you're breastfeeding after you've given birth, little mini contractions, and they feel like little labor pains while breastfeeding, and they don't last very long. But I always remember being like, oh, no one told me about these labor pains after labor. And it's that oxytocin. It's a good thing. It's that oxytocin working and contracting that uterus back to that small size. So that's another great benefit.
Question. So I always hear about hormones after pregnancy, and you know, hormones are going to play into how you feel, how you function, getting you back to that pre-pregnancy state. And I don't like to use that word because, you know, you're a whole different person.
Absolutely.
After pregnancy. But anyway, we hear about the hormones and how they function and all those things. Is there a connection in getting you there faster in breastfeeding because of the hormones playing a part in that?
Definitely. So like that oxytocin that I mentioned, that really is most prevalent in breastfeeding moms, and it has to do with the stimulation of the sucking on the breast that releases the oxytocin. This is also the feel-good hormone that will sometimes make moms feel a little sleepy and makes the baby fall asleep at the breast. That's the oxytocin being released.
Awesome.
And prolactin as well is another really important hormone that plays a role in breastfeeding that is much higher, obviously, in breastfeeding women than non-breastfeeding.
Okay. Cool.
Other hormones that play a role in the benefits of breastfeeding is estrogen, or specifically the lack thereof, or less estrogen. So estrogen is sometimes related to an increased risk in breast cancer and uterine cancer and ovarian cancer. And because with breastfeeding women, there is a delayed onset of their periods returning, as well as delayed ovulation. So there's not as much estrogen in breastfeeding women, which acts as sort of like a buffer, a protective barrier towards these diseases and cancers. Of course, I use that, you know, there's lots of other factors that can play a role in cancer development, but breastfeeding is one of those protective factors that work as reducing the risk of certain cancers.
Huge benefit.
Absolutely. So those are some of the things for moms. A lot of times we think of breast is best for the baby, and a lot of times moms don't realize how beneficial it is to the mom. And that's just some of them. We can go into lots and lots, bonding and all sorts of different things, but that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg is health benefits for moms.
Sweet. And I love the bonding benefit, and I think that one is super important. And not to say that you won't bond with your baby if you don't breastfeed, but there's something different about that certain bond when, you know, the baby is on the breast and you guys are close, and
definitely,
you know, so that's awesome.
Yeah, and then so for baby, there's lots of health benefits as well. There's reduced infections. You may have heard that breast milk is very high in antibodies, and it can change from day to day. So if baby has an infection, that sort of symbiotic relationship between the saliva of the baby and the breast can have the mother produce certain antibodies to help fight off that infection. Not to mention maybe you're sick, maybe you have the flu or something. As your body's fighting it off, it's producing those antibodies, which will then protect the baby from getting it. So lots of different infections like that. It also may help reduce the risk of childhood cancers and cancers later in life for children. Breastfed babies tend to be of a healthier weight, less risk of obesity and overweight later in life, and of course there is a strong connection between obesity and cancers. So having that sort of protective factor can really help your children all down the road, even after breastfeeding.
Long term.
Exactly.
Right? Those are things that we think about.
Absolutely.
And I love that you mentioned the breast milk changing for antibodies and things like that. And to this day, and I've seen this post millions of times, and I'm sure you've seen it too, but you know, the post where there's two separate breast milks and one's a yellow color and one's like a white color. I mean, it blows my mind every single time, but that is that chemistry that you're talking about, and that reaction happening so that your baby gets exactly what it needs.
Right.
And we talk a lot about this in chiropractic, and just how the body knows what it needs.
It sure does.
Right? And so a lot of our principal practices here is to remove any interference from the body so that it can do what it was created to do. And that breast milk is a prime example. The body does what it's created to do as long as there's no interference in doing it. So we'll talk a little bit about interferences and things like that. Also, you know, so that you can get all of these wonderful benefits for yourself and for your baby, right?
Definitely. And you know, some illnesses like respiratory illnesses, pneumonia, RSV, gastrointestinal illnesses like a GI bug, those can be really dangerous for infants when they're so little. Their lungs aren't strong enough quite yet. They can't hold on to a whole lot of water because they're so young. So if they're getting some of these illnesses, they can be very, very dangerous for babies. And so having that protective factor with breastfeeding can really be life-saving. And it's amazing how much your body can change to give your baby exactly what it needs when you're breastfeeding.
That is amazing.
Right. And they may be smarter too. Higher IQ is another one because you can't get this in formula. Our body naturally produces healthy fats like DHA and omega-3 fatty acids, things like that, that you really just get from breast milk, which have been led to brain development and higher IQ. So,
you know what? My mom's always joked about that, but I think I turned out all right.
I'd say
she did breastfeed, so
I think there's a relationship there.
I think so. So all of those benefits are awesome. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the difficulties. And I know one of the major difficulties that a lot of women come in talking about is positioning and latching. And latching comes in a lot to do because of positioning.
Exactly.
That is one of the main problems, right?
Right.
And we see this a lot as chiropractors. And I'll talk a little bit about this briefly before we get into positioning. A lot of times, it's not always mom. Mom always kind of blames herself and feels like it's something that she's doing wrong. But what if it's baby? Right? And so where I'm coming from as a chiropractor, what if your baby isn't able to latch because their head isn't comfortable in a certain position? So a lot of times we work with babies and we work with moms, but specifically with babies to make sure they're comfortable turning their heads left and right. They're comfortable leaning one way or leaning the other. And this is where, if we're struggling as chiropractors, we would say, okay, you need to call Dr. Larissa, and I know she can work with you guys. So let's dive into some of that, okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. And like Dr. Brittany said, you're exactly right. There's certain positions where babies may be more comfortable. And you know, and here at the chiropractor office, you guys can really pinpoint which may be the best position based on maybe their head and neck muscles and what may work best for them.
Exactly. Cool.
Okay, so this is Charlie.
Oh,
here's
hi,
our baby.
Charlie.
Here's little Charlie. So when babies are first born, one of the first positions that you may experience is called the laid back position. When you're doing the skin to skin contact, they put the newborn baby right on your chest after you give birth and you're kind of laid back a little bit. And this is one of the most natural positions where the baby may find his way straight to your breast and latch all by himself. And this is called the breast crawl. Babies may just latch on this way. This is also a great position for moms that maybe have an overactive supply or a forceful letdown, so that the milk doesn't feel like it's shooting down their throat, you know, in a different position. So that laid back is a great position and a comfortable position too. There's also, we tend to think of, you know, this position when we're feeding the baby. This is the most commonly seen one. This is called a cradle hold, which is a great position, belly to belly, head and neck all in alignment. And this is like Dr. Brittany was saying, that those head and neck muscles are so important in babies because you want to have that alignment. You don't want them all twisted all around. Similarly, it's a cross cradle where you're going to hold or support the head, neck, and shoulders with the opposite arm, and then you support your breast with the other hand. This is a great position for new babies where they don't have quite that same head and neck control right off the bat, so you really can give better control this way. Same thing with the football hold. Put baby on this side so you can see him. Where the baby's going to lay alongside you with the legs around the side. And then, again, you get good control of the head and neck and shoulders this way. a lot of times it's sort of instinctual where we want to lean over the baby to bring ourselves to the baby and the breast to the baby, but we want it to be the opposite way. We always want to bring the baby up to the breast.
Okay.
And get yourself in a comfortable position. Make sure that you're sitting in a chair that you're comfortable with. Babies can sometimes sense when you're tense and uncomfortable, so make sure that you are in a good, comfortable position. And otherwise, if you're leaning over, you're going to be coming to see them because you're going to be having all sorts of aches and pains that you don't need to be having because you're not in a good position there. So there's lots of different, there's no right or wrong position. Whatever works best for you and is most comfortable for you is really what you want to aim for. But these are some different positions to try out to ensure that you get a nice deep latch.
Awesome. So I love that you mentioned moms being comfortable because that's definitely one of the things that I wanted to talk about today. I call it mommy back. I see it all the time. Yes. I have moms that come in pregnant and, you know, they're doing good. They're in good shape throughout their pregnancy. And then they have this amazing birth. Right. And then they come in and I'm like, oh, you're doing so much better. And then I kid you not, within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, their upper back is a mess. Yeah. And you know what? It's because they're either carrying a carrier or carrying these new 10 pounds.
Exactly.
And positioning when they're breastfeeding, a lot of times you don't realize how much stress you're putting on your own body. And so when we're talking about positioning for baby, always remember positioning for yourself. Right. Because you're important and, you know, your baby needs you to be healthy and happy and relaxed, like you said, because they can sense that. And this, we see it all the time, and I love working with moms, but I would also love if moms took care of themselves in a way that they didn't have to be in pain, right?
Of course. Yeah, you can't be the best that you can be until you've taken care of yourself.
Exactly. So those are all awesome positions. Can you show the difference between the traditional cradle hold and then the cross cradle?
Yes, absolutely. So the traditional cradle hold, the baby would sort of be in the crook of your arm here. And so this hand would be supporting the head and neck, and then your other hand would be supporting your breast. The cross cradle is the opposite, where this hand, the opposite hand, so if you're feeding on your left breast, it would be your right hand that is supporting the head and neck and shoulders, and then the same hand of the breast that you're feeding on would support your breast that way.
Awesome.
And you don't need any special pillows, you don't need any, expensive, to breastfeed you need a baby and need a breast. That's it. That's all you need.
You got all the supplies you need.
That's it. You've got your supplies. And poor UPS guys will probably be at your house because you'll probably be on Amazon Prime all night. But really, you don't need anything there because all you need really is baby and breast. But those, the pillows, and you could use any pillow. You could
use the boppy pillows, the wraparound.
You could use a couch pillow or a bed pillow. It's really there to support you in your arms and not to support the baby. So you really just, if you need a pillow underneath you to support you that way, that's totally fine.
Okay.
But you don't need any special pillows to do that.
Gotcha. Awesome. I mean, we have a boppy pillow here in the office that
they're great.
We let moms use.
They're absolutely great, and they do provide support. Again, it's more support for you than for the baby, because especially when young babies and they need that little extra height up there, that pillow is great for it. Okay. If you don't have one and can't afford one, you don't need to go out and buy one. You can use any type of pillow to kind of add a little extra support.
Or try all the different positions that we went over today to find a good support for yourself and for baby. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of the struggles, right?
Right, because breastfeeding, it's the most natural thing. You see mammals out in the wild breastfeeding their babies. It really is the most natural thing, but it just doesn't always come so naturally to a lot of moms. If this is your first baby, you've never done it before. The baby's never done it before. So it takes a little bit of time to kind of get on a routine and find out what works for you, what positions work for you, what are the cues that the baby's giving you that the baby needs to eat. So, it's natural as it is, it does take a little bit of work, and there can be challenges in the beginning. So we mentioned, uncomfortable latch or painful latch, and sometimes that's corrected by just having the right position. There could be other things that go on too, but that's one of the most common problems. Another concern is, am I making enough milk? How do I know if my baby's getting enough? I can't see it in a bottle. I don't know how much the baby's actually getting. So we look at things like diaper counts, making sure the baby's having enough wet and dirty diapers. We look at weight gain, making sure that the baby's gaining enough weight. And those are some of the big things. You don't have to buy any special teas and cookies and things like that. And they're fine to take if you like them. Those cookies taste delicious.
Yeah.
Then, get them. But
I've drank the mother's milk tea, and I've never had a baby, but the mother's milk tea is pretty tasty.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're, so it definitely won't hurt. Would they help? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, a lot of those supplements that you can get, the tea, for example, if that helps you drink more fluids during the day, great, then that's going to help you. The cookies, if it helps you get, because a lot of times they have oats and lots of fiber, flax seeds and things, if it helps you get more of your fiber and more of your nutrient needs that way, then that's great. Is it going to help you produce more milk? Probably not. It's a supply and demand thing. The more often you nurse, the more often you pump, the more milk you're going to make, and it doesn't matter what you eat. There may or may not help so much.
Your body's going to do what it knows how to do.
Exactly, it is. And just listen to the baby. Let the baby kind of guide you. Feed on demand. You may think, I just fed him a half an hour ago. How is he possibly hungry again? Well, maybe. Their tummies are so tiny in the beginning, they can't hold a lot. So they do want to eat very frequently. That's normal. That's healthy. And it helps you establish a good milk supply.
Good. And, that's a question that we get often from moms, too. How often should I be feeding? On demand. If
that's it.
If they tell you they're hungry, they're probably hungry.
Right.
And then when they tell you they're done, they're probably done, right?
It's very difficult for breastfed babies to overeat. Textbook says every 2 to 3 hours. We don't want it to go over 3 hours in the beginning, just to help make sure that they're getting what they need and help establish a milk supply. But if they want to eat more frequently than that, feed them.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and then, reach out to the support that you may have. Whoever your partner is, whether that's your spouse or a parent or a best friend or a breast friend, someone maybe that's gone through this before, find who your support person is and, have that extra support there, because it's really important that you do throughout your entire pregnancy as well as while breastfeeding. Whatever community partners you may have here at Impact is fantastic. And then, of course, reach out to a lactation consultant if you do have breastfeeding specific questions or goals. Because really, that is we want to make sure that you can confidently reach whatever your breastfeeding goals are.
Awesome. All right.
And so this is the way that you can connect with us at Lala Baby Lactation. That's the website there, lalababylc.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. That phone number, there's a typo. It's supposed to be 2005, not 3005. But you can reach out in any way. And just for joining us on this webinar today, if you mention code IMPACT when you schedule your appointment, you'll get 20% discount on a prenatal consultation.
Awesome. And so I think if you are an expecting mom or if you're currently nursing mom and you have any questions or any struggles right now, Larissa is an awesome resource. And today we only gave you, just a little bit of what she does and a few tips to get you started. But there's so much more that you could go into, right?
Oh, yes.
So this was only the tip of the iceberg, just because we don't want to take up all of your time this evening. But we do appreciate you guys being here with us this evening. And so please reach out to her if you have questions. And then I also want to give you a special offer. Like I said, here at Impact Chiropractic, we work with pregnancy, prenatal. We work with moms all the time. We also work with pediatrics. Dr. Turner and I are both trained in pediatrics and prenatal care. It's what we love to do. It's the community we love to serve. And I know that there's all types of ways that we could help you on any parts of your journey, whether you're just getting started or planning to start or you've been going for a while in this journey. So today I want to offer you moms out there our VIP special in our office. If you feel like chiropractic care is something that can help you on this journey, reach out to us and get that VIP special consult set up. Usually a visit in our office to start is about $260. And today, since you guys were here for us and listened in, I want to give you our full consult at the $79 VIP price. So you can comment below if you're interested. Also, you can reach out in our direct messages or give us a call at 843-347-9103. So just want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you, Dr. Larissa, for coming on. You have been an awesome resource.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's so fun, and I love coming to this office. Can I comment below and get the special?
We'll see. No, you definitely comment below and get the special. Guys, if you have any questions, comment below. One of us will be answering questions throughout this video, and we'd love to talk with you soon. And thank you so much. Have a great evening.